The Scions of the Seventh Dawn, brave folk who work and toil away tirelessly in an effort to protect the realm and bring peace and prosperity to its denizens. An incredibly powerful and influential organization that has had their hands in stopping an innumerable number of threats and world-ending disasters. Selfless and wonderful people, and most importantly, as the Warrior of Light, our great friends. And as a great friend, I'm going to rank them in a tier list, because that's what friends do. I'll just be going over what I remember of them, in a very accurate manner, with no bias in it whatsoever. No bias. But without further ado, here we go. Minfilia Ward, a woman who originally led the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. Though by lead, I mean stood inside the walking sands, calling people to constantly come back and talk to her. I still remember leaving the walking stands to go do a quest and then immediately be told to return to it right after. And honestly, I don't remember her doing much before she became the Oracle of Light, outside of being captured a few times and needing rescuing. Pray return to the bottom of the tier list. Yet, I cannot keep her there. I just don't know why. Something about her personality makes me have to put her a little bit higher up. Thancred Waters. Definitely not my favorite Scion. The man who grew up as a pauper and thief in the back alleys of Limsa Lominsa. One day though, he made the critical mistake in trying to pickpocket Louisoix. And well, let's say he roleplayed a dragoon for a bit. After that, he joined the Scions and became the guy who changes quite drastically every expansion. In A Realm Reborn, he's basically Johnny Bravo but knows how to fight. In Heavensward, he's not really around, but mentioned as a crazy naked man running around the Chocobo forests, and showing up again in the patches between the expansions. In Stormblood, he's Mr. Can't Do Magic, but still resourceful enough to be able to fight anyone. Plus one of his eyes change colors to silver, and that is never explained. In Shadowbringers, he's awesome sad dad man who struggles deeply with loss. I really like his Shadowbringers version quite a bit. It honestly feels like he grew. He struggled with the loss of who he perceived as his little sister, Buttwindow, who he desperately tried and failed to save, to then protecting a girl who shares the same name, same eyes and hair, and has the same soul living in her. But we all know it isn't her. And you can see how all of this eats away at him, but he still tries his best to always do the right thing for her.
I'm glad you're back.
You don't have to say that, you know.
But I want to. Your family.
Thancred tier. Y'shtola Rule. Everyone's favorite catgirl and the Scion I most regret googling with safe search turned off. She's an incredibly intelligent and powerful mage, who more often than not is the solver of problems for the Scions. She is also very persistent. Once she locks her eyes on a goal, she doesn't stop until said goal is reached, as is quite evident in her speech to the Sharlians. She's also got some hefty plot armor, but it's got a few scratches in it. 2 of her lives have been used when she jumped into the livestream, and I'm gonna say she lost another one when Xenos kicked the ever-loving crap out of her. Y'shtola also has one of the most quoted and beloved scenes in the entire game, dropping a burn so painful that we can visibly see a man die inside.
I am not interested, little son. Try again when you've become a man.
Little?
Alas, we all know Y'shtola is only after one man. Orangier really doesn't know what he's getting into. Y'shtola is definitely a pitcher, and that booty is now her target. C for cat tier. Orangier or Grulette. I very much dislike of how this man talks. I find it very much annoying yond that gent is somehow unable to talk of like of everyone that gent hands round. Gad soof, it is as though he desires naught more than to be pretentious. I shan't warn him that his soiree with yond catwoman will end up with him having his rear end parted. Bottom of tier, for I must need not readeth, yoreth, dialogueth. Seriously, guy. Alphinaud 11 Lear, the man who uses a book and a unique moonstone carbuncle, and is getting a new job with Sage in the next expansion, which means that that poor carbuncle is gonna be locked away and never seen again. He's also another character that changed quite a bit, going from being overly optimistic, believing everything can be sunshine and rainbows, to still being very optimistic but realistic, which is nice growth. A tier for a good boy. The other Alphinaud 11 Lear, the headstrong red mage who enjoys rushing into battle and believes thinking is for book nerds. She is unbelievably headstrong and enjoys nothing more than stealing your limit break, though she also has a deeply caring side, especially for children. I enjoy when she's around, but she barely changes at all throughout the game. But that's fine. I like her go-get-it, serious, take the most direct route attitude, the no-nonsense personality. The two Alphinauds are fantastic contrasts to one another. I rate her Alphinaud tier.
I am not Alphinaud!
I believe I can fly.
Tataru Taru, adorable little Tataru, who dresses you up in fancy outfits all the time. An expert tailor who for some reason herself wears what looks like rags. She's probably one of the most powerful Scions in the entire game. Not only did she practically make Alphinaud crap his pants, she somehow was able to track down Estinian and make him join the Scions. If that doesn't scream that she has some hidden dark powers, I don't know what will. Below those loving and caring eyes is a monster more powerful than death itself. B tier for better stay on her good side. Guraha Tia, the man who was willing to sacrifice himself to protect his world and friends, even at a cost so high as to grant himself immortality, but also being locked away forever in total isolation. Graha's selfless nature and willingness to do anything, even die to protect others and do what he thinks is right, makes his character quite endearing to me. But maybe he just really wants a good death. Trying the same I go, you stay stunt twice. Everyone knew he'd return in Shadowbringers, but I doubt many would have predicted that his return would make him living proof that being a tier long enough would turn you into a wizard. C for cat tier. Estinian Wormblood. Everyone needs an edgelord character, and nothing is more edge than a dragoon juiced up on 1,000 years of angry dragon rage. I didn't actually think Estinian would ever join the Scions in the main cast, him being the embodiment of the I work alone trope. I am happy he's in the group though. His overly edgy and pessimistic nature is a nice contrast to practically everyone, and I can imagine a few funny interactions with him being around. I rate him the edgelord of the B tier. Kryle Balderson, a little potato who was adopted by Balderson. Yes, she was raised on what is now the Isle of Eureka. She's a lovely little spud that I kinda wish showed up a bit more in the main cast. Unfortunately, she's a bit of a side character, being the go-to healer person to patch everyone up. I would actually have regarded her as almost a background character if it wasn't for the fact that she played a large role in the Eureka storyline, and for the fact that her teasing of Book Alphanod is hilarious. This scene was really good. I rate her C tier for trying to be a cat. Arnvald Latinus, the background character who is actually a bit more interesting than he lets on. He's someone who is kind of like a reflection of Book Alphanod. He wants to protect and help others wherever he can, and willingly and happily puts himself in harm's way in order to do that. He sees the potential good in others and tries his best to bring that out. And he has suffered incredibly painful losses that haunt him, yet he still carries on and perseveres. Though as a background character, he didn't show up for a long time, and was kinda ominous for him to suddenly start showing up in the 5.5 patches. The patch number that is notorious for having a character die or something awful happen. I rate him D tier. Papaimo Totoimo, the tiny potato that was attached to Hida's heels. I honestly thought they were a couple, and I guess he may have hoped to become one, though I do suppose the basic logistics made that pretty much impossible. His death was a bit out of the blue, but him and Yida were basically a single character, and Yida too would be no more in Stormblood. At least it wasn't a waste when his character died. I bet he baked real good under that dragon fire. I rate him baked potato. Yida hexed. Haha, you thought it was Yida, but it was me, Lise, her sister, she said, thinking it would shock anyone. Oh, we already knew, we just played along, said literally all the Scions. Lise is a bit more of an honorary mention since she's not a Scion anymore, and as a Scion she was most definitely very forgettable. But I thought her role in Stormblood was pretty alright, but she wasn't a Scion at that point. So as a Scion I'd have to rate her half a character. But through Stormblood, while she was Lise, I have to rate her not a Scion. Now for some of the more very minor Scions. Hoary Boulder. Hoary. Diversity. D. Orsha Boulder. Hoary's brother and his tag team partner. D. Aenor. A very thirsty NPC with a surname that is just too on the nose to not have been intentional. I rate her between the boulders D. Colonet Diabilere. Colonet Dialbarere. I don't know how to say that name. Hori's buddy. I want to ship these two, but unfortunately we know what Hori's already into. D. Vilhimen Kwesh. Mommy cat makes me happy. She's like a little grandma who cares for everyone and makes everyone delicious Uldan treats. And she's only 57 years old. Yep, 57. She's the grandma character at 57. C for cat tier. Moonbreda Wulfsenvin. She pops out of nowhere and honestly, I wasn't too surprised to see her die. But that doesn't mean I didn't like her character. She's a gigantic axe-wielding Rugadin, and her death was important to drive the story forward. B for Big Butch Bold Beautiful Woman. Riol Forrest, the Scion's spy master and a plot driver device that no one remembers existing. I rate him hiding somewhere out of sight. All these other guys, background material tier. And that's it. The perfect tier list for the Scion characters. Exactly how they rank up against one another, and in a tier list everyone will agree with. I hope you enjoyed. But for now, goodbye my friends, and have a great day.